But anyway, I also found this newspaper clipping that tells how Shine actually got his name, that Miss Shaw claims. Miss Shaw was the wife of Dean Shaw of the School of Education, Dean O.A. Shaw. And she said that she was teaching at Winona, which is where Mr. Shine went to grammar school. Said, many years ago when I was teaching at Winona, I got in a tight spot. My basketball squad was to put on a play the following night when one of the cast was expelled from school. I was determined not to postpone or cancel the performance. I thought of you, Mr. Morgan. You were a little fellow about 12 years old in grammar school, and you memorized the part that night, and then the next night stole the show. Since then, you have been Shine Morgan.
People used to come see my grandfather Shine because they wanted his support. You know, if you were running for something either in Oxford or North Mississippi, or even in statewide, he was the person that was in charge of getting your votes in North Mississippi.
And remember, Shine's store was basically it was a hub for Mississippi politics, not only in Oxford, but pretty much North Mississippi.
When he was the proprietor, it was just a place, everybody came by, you know, just to see. I think as Nina Gooseby said in one of the papers, just to see what the political climate was that day. I mean, it was where everybody checked in, everybody loved Shine, and he always had something funny to say, and he made you feel really good. I mean, even if he wasn't feeling real good, he would make you feel really good. And everybody came by just because they loved him and they loved the store. It was real interesting reading about his political journey even before I ever knew him. I mean, you know, by 1957, he had already served on 3 colonel staffs, Governor Fielding Wright, Hugh White, and Bilbo. And then he, in 1959, was real active in Ross Barnett's campaign. And then Ross was elected, and that's when we started writing all those political letters for all these people that needed jobs. And that was fun. And Mr. Shine loved being a colonel. You know, he was and then he was on the board of trustees, and you know, and that was just a wonderful thing for him. He just thoroughly enjoyed being associated with the school, and he loved Ole Miss. He truly did. He was a cheerleader at Ole Miss. Was that back then, you know, he had Highway Patrol would come and get him to go to the games because of his political status. And I can remember so well after lunch, everybody would start ginning around, getting their lipstick on and combing their hair, and then people would start hollering out the front door, the Highway Patrol is here, the Highway Patrol is here. So we'd all go charging out. And of course,
It was a great place to grow up, and it's a great place now. I mean, you wouldn't have so many people traveling here and writing about it, although it serves different functions as far as the great place it was then and the great place I think it is now. Well, it was really just an extension of home. We lived about 2 blocks from town. I'd say from town, from the square. So, I mean, John and I would, you know, we'd take off in the morning and let Mom know, or Mom, actually we'd tell Mom that we were heading to the square, and then she'd check on the phone with Dad to make sure we'd gotten there. I do remember that, or call when we got there. But it was really an extension of being, of our neighborhood. It wasn't just like, our neighborhood wasn't just Fillmore and South 8th. The neighborhood was the square.
Ed loved the TV. He really, my husband just really was a TV hound, and the remote control. I mean, he really did. Even doing business, he always had a TV on, you know, and then people, that was another thing, people would come in to visit, but then there might be something that interested them, and so they would just sit down and watch the rest of the show. I mean, you know, so it was fun, you know, and Ed watched it with anybody that happened to be in there. He loved it.
Well, it basically closed because, you know, the same reason most stores closed is because, you know, he went out of business. But, and, you know, a lot of people tend to blame something like Walmart or bigger, you know, bigger chain stores. But, you know, the truth of the matter is you kind of have to adapt with what you do. And Dad wasn't the best at doing that. He really loved what he did and hung out there. But he was smart enough to see that it was time to go, and it was
you know, it was a difficult decision, but it was still something that it ended up being, you know, a good thing. I mean, and we hated to close the store. It pretty much went straight to becoming the Southside Gallery. I don't think it was ever actually empty for a very long period of time. I can remember, it shows you how far Oxford's come, I can remember hearing people saying, you know they're going to put an art gallery in that place. You know, people going, no.